That's a bold strategy, Cotton. I told you I'll be back, and I am back. We have an update. I have an article that's going to be dropping any second now. It's a pretty well-written article. Uh, Kind of got a little bit of heads up on this that was going on. Couldn't say anything, but now I can because just literally minutes ago, what happened is that a new amendment has been introduced in the House Judiciary that says that the reconciliation bill cannot be passed without the HBA and the short act, which would mean that it will get thrown back up to the Senate and House looks like they might be taking a stand saying we're not gonna pass this unless you guys ignore the advice of the parliamentarians. So it looks like we might be going to a showdown. So, like this amendment, we need everyone to call and ask your representatives to support Representative Clyde's amendment.
So we're calling our House member?
House members, yeah, because the House Representative Clive in the Judiciary introduced an amendment that said we can't pass we're not gonna consider the reconciliation bill until these things actually get through. The strategy was actually came from GOA. GOA
Oh,
and
all right.
Clyde to come up with this strategy.
So the number up over there, so you got to call that number, give them your zip code. They'll tell you who your rep is or switch you to your rep. And then you say, hey, man, I want the Clyde Amendment.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So they are actually working on this. This actually has a good chance of actually going through. That's why I kind of said earlier on, not all hope is lost. And then I'm getting my article up now because I thought it was going to be tomorrow, but it's good. It's today. So I got an article going up any minute now on ammoland.com. We can read more about it.
The dog knew I was on camera.
Yeah. So yeah. When my article comes out, which should be any minute now, I'm refreshing. I'll share it out to everyone so they can go ahead and make those calls. And hopefully, this amendment gets added in and it forces the hand of Thune.
So is there's a Senate parliamentarian, there's a House parliamentarian also?
No, okay, it's different. Basically, the Senate sets rules. Those rules are good until they change them. The House sets rules every session, so they don't have like a parliamentarian.
So, okay, now if the House introduces the bill, does it have to go back to the Senate? I mean, and it introduces an amendment.
Well, what was that?
So if the House introduces this amendment, does it have to go back to the Senate for a vote?
No, it's an amendment, a House amendment. So the Senate has no say on the House amendment.
And so basically, any edits that the House now makes go straight to Trump.
No, it would have to go. It would go. No, the reconciliation bill. I thought you meant the amendment that they're trying to add to say you can't pass without the HBA.
Right.
No, it'll go back to. I mean, it will go back to. All we need is 5 Republicans to hold the line.
In the House.
Yes.
Okay, but Does that has to go back to the Senate, and aren't we back in the same thing with the parliamentarian?
No, well, it won't go. The parliamentarian won't have a chance. They would be, hey, you gotta do the original text. So it would go back to that, and they would have to. They would have to, I guess, fight it out.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Here's the whole thing.
multiple.
This isn't cope. This isn't false hope. This is, hey, I'm not asking you to put $100 in my pocket. I'm not asking you to take a day off of work. I'm asking you to make a phone call, give them your zip code, and talk to your rep. I'm asking you to do an X post. And if that's too
Yeah.
much for you, don't watch us.
Oh, you don't. I mean, I'm not gonna say don't watch us. They'll always watch us, of
All right,
course. But no, just
unsub Flying Rich. You can watch Crump. Don't watch me.
yeah, do whatever you want to do. I mean, I'm not gonna say, because I don't like saying, if you don't do this, don't. You know what I'm saying?
I'm okay with that because I have so little subs anyhow. It doesn't matter.
I'm not okay with saying, hey, if you disagree with me, don't watch me. I think that's dumb. You disagree with me, you still watch me and disagree with me. Yeah.
No, I see. I don't think anybody disagrees with me. I'm like, this isn't cope. This isn't. You're not a simp if you make a phone call or if just do it.
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah.
cost you
I'm not saying
anything.
that.
Doesn't hurt. Takes a few minutes of your time.
Yeah, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, there's no loss here. There's no loss. It's not like the lottery.
Okay, 666 is the number of months I've been a member. Nice. Thank you for being a member. Yeah. Thank you for being a member. Why isn't this going up? I
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh, my dog is freaking out. It thundered a couple of times.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about thundering. But yeah, so I just wanted to keep you up to date. I posted the article in the chat. So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
No, so this is an amendment, a House rule. What are we talking about?
Yeah. Let me bring up my article here. We will talk about this. I wonder how I got this so fast. Huh. I read this article and it's been out in for 5 seconds, and I've been over. Let me just I'm trying to do something here, but yeah, the article is right here. I'm gonna let Rich read my own writing.
I can't read it because I'm on my phone. Yeah, I can't see that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the basically basically they're gonna put a amendment in there. Uh it's the House Rules Committee to restore the full appeal of suppressors and short barrel rifles from the NFA.
So there's still
So
hope. There's still hope that I can 3D print my own suppressor without doing any paperwork.
yeah, there's still
That
hope.
I
I
can
mean,
go to
yeah,
my.
will this work? I don't know, but it's better than doing nothing and giving in. So that's what they want us to do. They want us just to give up, right?
I say
I mean, that's the whole entire.
just pretend you're a blue-haired Democrat that you're standing in the streets blocking traffic. Uh,
Honestly,
Making a phone call and
honestly,
sending an X post is the equivalent in our world.
honestly, if they think I'm going to give up, they're sorely mistaken, because I never give up. I will go down.
That's just from Galaxy Quest.
What?
That's just Galaxy Quest. Never surrender, never give up.
It was actually before that. There was a movie called Never Surrender, Never Give Up. Hold on,
Really?
I gotta fix my camera. Locked it up. Sorry, I was trying to do some stuff here. Update some
I thought you were just
software
a
as
statue.
I'm going up. Probably, which is probably not the smartest thing to do, but whatever.
Yeah, what do you know about technology, Crump?
No, I was just I was trying to update some software. And
probably not a smart thing to do while you're writing an article on live streaming out to 470 people.
yeah, probably not.
You writing a book also?
No, I'm not writing a book. I'm here.
No, at the moment.
Not at the moment. I'm here, guys. I was trying to get something over to some other people in the creative space so they can break news as well.
Oh, you mean so the trailing John Crump effect will occur, that all of a sudden everybody else gets notifications?
There's no trailing John Crump effect. This is not my story. I just read.
Okay. If you say so.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happen. What will happen? Hello from the Tundra Tactical Team. Hi. Yeah, I just posted something in the chat with the article in the private chat thing that we have going to Tundra Tactical. But yeah, not all hope is lost. Yeah, no, it's not clickbait. No clickbait. I don't do the clickbait stuff. I do not do the clickbait stuff. If Republicans do delist suppressors SVR, condemn, add them right back. Well, they can change the tax amount, but if they're delisted, then it will take a 60 vote bill to add them back, which they're not going to be able to do.
So, Crump, I got a couple of questions. Doesn't the Trump administration feel like, Trump's office feel like, hey man, we need to disregard what the parliamentarian says? Isn't that the Trump office sentiment?
Yeah. I mean, that's their public sentiment. But yet the vice president didn't do that.
So why? I mean, in my mind, it seems as though JD Vance is going rogue on this by not complying with the president's sentiment.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's all a political show, right?
I mean, is that like we're just the pawns? This is the bread and circuses, and we're just the frickin' pawns. Trump says do it. JD Vance isn't doing it. Thune isn't doing it.
John's new book, Your Mom's Box, an underdog story, changed their mind.
And if you buy a knife at Definition Knives, they come in your mom's box.
Yeah. My go-to insult. Trump is not a 2A supporter, correct? I was curious to why JD Vance didn't overrule the parliamentarian. So am I. Trump never been pro E2A. Even if he changed, I never trusted Vance. I think we are starting to see that divide.
But why? I mean, Republicans, a large number of Republicans are gun owners. And don't get me wrong, a lot of gun owners don't know the difference between a suppressor, SBR, SBS. Literally, my church security team, one of the members, he's like, why would you want a suppressor? I'm like, so it's quieter when I shoot in my yard so I don't piss off my neighbors? Because they're cool? Because it's not a Bill of Rights. I mean, it's a Bill of Rights, not a Bill of Needs.
Crapo didn't have. I mean, Crapo is the reason why we got it in the first place. He didn't have the power to push back. That lays at the feet of John Thune.
So Thune or Vance could have said, "Yeah,
Vance.
not so much," and
Yeah.
that would have been the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
Well, that
in
would
the,
be the end. It would go to Democrats can still challenge, but it's only a 51 majority vote.
but so here's again, I keep scratching my head. What is the reason what bad thing could happen to Thune or Vance by saying, "Yeah, no, remove them, done, moving on."
Armed attorneys are not clickbait. I think you're getting them mixed up with another armed guy.
Some smart armed guy.
Yeah, Richard and Emily are actually really, really good. Yeah, Thune is the problem. Yep, I 100% agree.
But Crump, why? What is the win by not removing this from the NFA? By not telling? I mean,
I think we got it to the point where it is right now because of the pressure we put on everyone.
but that's like being half pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think. Yeah, I think it's our pressure. Or like, I think if we didn't put the pressure on,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that you know, I think we would not have even got it this far.
But it appears to me that, like,
Our
if
attorneys
I'm
have
just trying to
that is
logically
true.
understand this,
That is 100% true. Armed attorneys is half pregnant. Congratulations, Emily.
oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Not half pregnant; they're fully pregnant.
No, armed attorneys is Richard and Emily. They're the friends. They have different spouses.
Spouses.
Yeah, Richard is married to he's not married to Emily. He's married to another woman, and Emily is married to another guy. They're just friends, the partner, like law partners. So you can't say they're both pregnant because Emily's pregnant because they're not.
So they're
together.
half pregnant.
They're half pregnant. That's what they were
Vance
saying.
is a rhino, as well as Patel, Bongino, and Trump will screw us. Ouch! Ouch, dude, you're hurting me on that one. Might be true.
Yeah.
And Crump, you keep telling me I am a Trump sycophant and a Trump
You are.
fanboy. I call him out. I call him out when he does wrong.
Do you go wave flags on the corner with your MAGA hat
Yes.
in front of Mar-a-Lago?
Yes.
Okay. There we go.
But look, I support my president, and he's done a lot of the right things. I could be highly critical of him, and I don't mean to go for the old trope, what the enemy of right is perfect or whatever.
The Trump fanboy.
Look, because I have a Trump hat and I wave flags at Mar-a-Lago doesn't mean I'm a Trump fanboy. And just because I drank 2 quarts of vodka last night doesn't mean I'm an alcoholic either.
Yeah. Do you have a MAGA
do I have a megaphone? My wife does.
flag?
Oh yeah, yeah. In front of my house, it says Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president, next to my American flag.
Okay.
I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm pissed at Vance. I'm pissed at Trump. I'm pissed at Thune. This half pregnant bull crap doesn't fly. There is no reason they can't just take suppressors, SBRs, SBSs off the NFA. There is no reason they can't do it. I understand there's a tradition about the parliamentarian, but you can, one, disregard what the parliamentarian says. Two, throw her the F out and make the janitor the parliamentarian.
Do we have a stream link? You want to take some calls?
Sure.
All right, I gotta hook up. We can take some calls.
I was in the middle of eating lunch.
Eating lunch?
Yeah.
You're beating lunch.
Eating, not beating. So yeah, I
Oh.
got carrots and hummus.
All right, give me 1 second here. All right. We are connected. So let me go ahead. Just turn on the phone lines. Let me see. It's 1-800 Crumpy 0.
Do not dial 1-800-CRUMP-PL.
No, just it's Crumpy 0. So if you wanted to call in, you said you guys wanted somebody wanted to call in. Let's go ahead and call in. I'll give you a couple minutes here to call in, and then we are gonna get out of here. But it's better than nothing, right? So we'll have to see. They kind of not correct there. What they did is they put up a amendment to try to bait Democrats into raising a point, and then that would have made them look like silly. All right, people said they wanted to call in. I put the phone number up, and no calls. Okay. Oh, never mind.
You got a call?
Unknown caller.
Exactly when I say that. Hello, this is John. Hold on for 1 second here. Give me 1 second here. There's something going on with the
Temu phone system.
All right, there we go. I got it. Hey, you're on the line. How you doing?
Perfect. Name is Chris, and just wanted to kind of go over the suppressors.
Okay.
Do you think that it's going to pass the House now?
I don't know. The loss here would be a $0 tax stamp. So we're at least getting that. If this amendment gets added and it does the rule gets added and it goes back to the Senate, we're gonna have to see what happens here. I'm not gonna call it either way, but the NFA is being modified one way or the other.
So this is my stance: is that even though we've already gone through the House, it was a minor majority decision, even there. And then just as of this morning, right, it was a tie vote, and JD split it for a win. So I understand the process of where we're at and how much hurdle or how much work is still needed. It's not a huge win and nothing is guaranteed. I agree, but I just came across your show. I wanted to chime in, and if any lawmakers are listening to this, I just wanted to give a quick little my take on it, if you let me.
Sure. Go ahead.
So suppressors, legally, we can prove with science that suppressors are an extension of a barrel, right? It aids in the backflow, and that's what suppressors do, is they suppress sound, they suppress noise, and flash.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all we can prove just because that a lot of senators want to have a fear of what suppressors, and they're called silence. First of all, they don't silence anything, they suppress. It cannot be reduced down to zero. So a lot of their actions in voting no against these Second Amendment rights that we have that cannot be taken away, they are given to us, is because of their own fears, and it's not actually out of logic. Just because you want to say no to suppressors, the HBA and the Short Act is a violation of our Second Amendment because we can prove it. And their arguments to it is that because it's removable, it's considered an accessory. It's not an accessory. It is a continuation of a barrel. Therefore, it is a functional firearm, right? We want the 200 removed down to 0. And not only that, we want it to not be included in an NFA item. It's not really a win at all. It just creates the registry. And because the lawmakers, are making silencers, quote unquote, an accessory item because it's detachable. Well, guess what? In the SBR rules, right, you can have a barrel that is 14.5 inches and you pin and weld it, and the pin and weld clause or stipulation makes it a 16-inch, therefore legal firearm.
Yeah.
Right? But you can remove a whole upper by 2 temporary pins, and it's not an NFA item.
Yeah, but if you pin and weld a suppressor to a 14-inch barrel and it extends over 16-inch, then that would not be considered an SBR anymore. The reason why they consider accessories, and this is why some courts consider it accessories, like the Ninth Circuit. The reason why they ruled that they're accessories is because they said that they are not integral to the operation of the firearm.
Like a magazine or barrel.
Yeah, like you could it'll work without it.
So,
right.
and I want to say something to the caller. Yeah, you obviously understand what you're talking about. Sure, go.
So that is where the kind of integral is what one side of, or one group of lawmakers like to use that word, but it is whether or not it's a functional part of the firearm. It is, but because of technology has advanced and we're not in musket times of 1770, it is a modern day firearm because it is part of it, and it has to be removed to do 3 things. It has to be removed to be cleaned. It has to be removed to be replaced once they become unfunctional from high volume of use. And they also, it needs to be maintained, right? So that's why it has to be, and even I'm all for, even if we put like a strong C-clamp where it has a clamp pin to it, but it doesn't require the weld, like I'm all for that and compromising, but a lot of the lawmakers are really going to their fears. And I just wanted to go to the $200 tax stamp just before I let you. Sorry, I just wanted to make it quick, but
sure.
To their argument of just reducing it down, I want to give the audience and lawmakers listening an idea of what essentially their so-called win is. $200 tax stamps on the Class 2 there's about 100 to 200,000 FFLs, right, who you can get these so-called firearms. And that equals $200 times that 200,000 rounded up is $20 million. We so-called just took in 88 billion to the president's words. Unofficial number is 120 billion in tariff revenue. So $20 million just in these tax stamps is a penny. It doesn't mean anything compared to the revenue that we're now taking in. Go ahead.
Okay, so here I got a couple of points I want to make, and you obviously know what you're talking about, and I'm not being patronizing. And please understand, I'm saying this with no malice to you. You suffer from the same disease I do. You think facts matter, and I work in that black and white logical universe in my own brain, and it sounds like you do also. As I continuously say, the ATF is like putting your junk in crazy. Don't do it. And why would you think logic and facts and reality would have any effect on this? This has nothing to do with any of that.
It's emotions, but thank you for calling though. We're gonna probably wrap up here in a couple minutes. So
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the caller. He's obviously a very intelligent guy. And I mean no malice or disrespect. I have the same feelings and frustrations.
yeah, when you follow logic instead of
Yeah,
emotion.
no, yes, it's like logic screams in my head all the time when things like a Glock 7 from Die Hard, that kind of stuff. It just, makes me want to run around, the town yelling at the top of my lungs. But
Well, thank you for calling. We have other callers coming in, so I'm gonna pick those up as well. Okay.
sure.
Thank
All
you.
right. Stay blessed. God bless.
Grasshopper, call for extension 0.
You're on the air.
Hey, John, it's Guy Actual.
Hey,
Long
what's
time
up, buddy?
listener, first time caller.
What?
Not much. I wanted to actually kind of touch on something around the $0 tax. Where does that really put us when we have a $0 tax along with registration? I mean,
Well,
at that point, isn't it just effectively a registration?
yeah,
Yes.
it is, and that actually adds to legal challenge. It makes it a lot easier to challenge it legally. That's why Chris Murphy tried to change it from $0 to $1 to head off that legal challenge, which is now going to be there, because we talked about this yesterday, how a tax must have revenue generating power. Yep.
Right.
So Chris Murphy, a Democrat.
Yes, my apologies.
All right. And that's it. All right. We're going to get to the next call. We got a bunch of calls here.
Oh, good.
Sounds good. Have a good day.
Bye.
Grasshopper, call for
You're on the air.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. First time, long time.
All right. Who are you
I
and
just
what
wanted to
do you want to say?
Yeah, my name is Dan. And I have 3 points I wanted to make, but feel free to interrupt me at any point. No hard feelings whatsoever. Just glad that we're having this conversation here. The first thing I wanted to say was with regards to the point you guys were making about what does it mean to have this new amendment in the House bill, and will it have to go back to the Senate, and what will happen in the Senate. And the point I wanted to make there, guys, is my reading of that House amendment is basically just the House GOP sending a strong signal to the Senate that the Senate needs to override the parliamentarians
That's exactly
if
what it
they
is.
want this. Yeah, exactly. If they want this bill. So it's basically the House and the Senate are playing chicken. And by sending that amendment back to the Senate, the House is basically taking the steering wheel out of their car and throwing it out the window. But the Senate sees that they're throwing it out the window, meaning we're not going to blink. Senate, you need to blink. You need to override the parliamentarian.
Yeah,
That is how I interpret the amendment. Yeah, go on.
You're interpreting it exactly right.
Yeah, that's so. So then it's a question of whether the Senate will blink, assuming this amendment goes back to the House. Goes back to the Senate. It's a question of whether the Senate's going to blink. I mean, I have no insight there. I defer to anyone else who does. That was the first point I wanted to make. The second point I wanted to make is, kind of with regards to the Senate parliamentarian herself, like the fact that the Senate parliamentarian wasn't fired in 2017 by McConnell, and the fact that the Senate parliamentarian wasn't fired in 2024, by soon when the GOP came back into power in the Senate, I mean, that might be speaking to kind of like a broader trend. She might be in there for a reason for the GOP. The GOP is keeping her there for a reason, and maybe that reason is to provide the Senate GOP with cover to give them an excuse to not, pass some of this legislation that we want.
Well, we agree with you on that too.
Pause if you want to respond to that.
I agree with
All
you
right,
on that
good
too. I mean, what more can I say?
Yeah.
Is you're absolutely on the money there.
Right. She could have been fired in 2017. She could have been fired in 2024. She was not. Maybe there was a reason why she was not fired by McConnell or Thune.
Yep.
And the
So
third
you're saying she's acting as a beard?
Yes. That is one way to put it. Sure.
All right.
A scapegoat maybe, or she is providing them cover so that they can say, look, we tried to do it, but oh my gosh, the Senate parliamentarian, and we have these traditions in the Senate, and it just didn't pass through. But doggone it, we gave it a good try.
Yep. Exactly. And what's your third point?
Yeah, thank you. Just very briefly, the problem with reducing the tax from 200 to 0, but keeping it in the NFA, I think there's a lot of problems there. One of them is what would stop the Democrats when they come back into power and they have all three branches, what would stop them from using this same mechanism from raising that tax from 0 to not $200, but a much larger number?
Yeah,
putting us in an even worse situation than before Trump came into power in 2025.
Yeah, we
and
talked
what would
about that.
stop them from adding other items to the NFA, saying, "Hey, this is just a tax." So we don't need to go through. We don't need 60 votes in the Senate. This is just a tax. This isn't a policy thing. We're just raising money by adding other items, new items to the NFA. That's the last point I wanted to make.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think that kind of shows how dangerous.
I think they can raise
Sorry,
it,
go
but
on.
adding items to the NFA, if they can't remove items, they can't add items. So,
well, I understand that, but I guess my thinking here is, wouldn't that just be a question for the Senate parliamentarian?
yeah,
I mean, like, we would just the Democrats would just need to tell the Senate parliamentarian, who might be this same woman, saying, "Hey, we're not changing policy, we're just raising money. This is a fiscal question, and we already have certain items that are taxed into the NFA. All we're doing is just adding other items that need to be taxed into the NFA. It's not a policy question that requires 60 votes in the Senate. It's a fiscal question. It's a budget question that only requires 50 votes."
yeah.
I mean, I'm just asking the question is whether that's possible, and I do think it's possible.
Okay, I gotcha. You might be right there.
Yeah.
Not disagreeing
those
with
are just my
anything that
three
you're
thoughts.
saying.
I appreciate the call.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Thanks, guys.
You're one of the 7 people that called. The phone lines are now reopened. If not, then we're gonna go ahead and the parliamentarian said, "Oh, we also had a $10 super chat come in." Before I forget to get to that, let me go ahead and do that. It says, "This isn't a win. Anyone that thinks their court will..." Let's see. I can't even see it here.
Unknown caller.
Well, take us the rest of the way. We should look at how 2 cases have gone for 20 years. Yep. Let's go ahead and answer the call. And
1. To send a voicemail,
all right, you're on the air. What? Who's calling?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Who's calling?
Okay. Yeah, my name's Chris. Yes.
All right. What would you like to say?
Yeah, number one, I'd just like to say I actually wouldn't have a problem with paying the $200 tax. It's more of the principle that, Randy Weaver's wife was shot. I don't mean to, bring this to a totally political thing, but it's more the principle that agents of the government have the option to prosecute you on these things. And it has nothing, in my opinion, to do with the money. I can pay $200, and like everybody else that buys the suppressors, we have the money to do it. What this gives is them another avenue for them to come after gun owners. And the second part of this is it also sets a legal precedent for things like banning specific types of firearms. Because if it ever goes through the judicial process, now they could say, well, there is a history and tradition, the Gun Control Act, you have the assault weapons ban. And what this would have done is taken those restrictions off of the NFA and given them less leverage when it comes to going to court against gun owners. That's just my opinion. I don't really have a problem with the tax. It's more so the principle of it. And I just think that we've been completely let down. I'm going to tell you this, in the midterms, if you have an R in front of your name and your name is not Thomas Massey or governor from Georgia, or the rep from Georgia that put it on the actual bill, the Hearing Protection Act, from Representative Clyde is the guy's name.
Yeah.
I'm not going to vote for him. I'll sit in.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way.
And I think it's, we need to do, we've got to be way better at this. I think the GOA, NRA, ILA, and all of those clowns, they should have just voted no on the bill. Every single one of it, because there's nothing else in the bill that actually makes any sense. This is going to raise the debt trillions of dollars. This is the single reason as to why I wanted this voted in. And they just let me down.
All right.
So I think burn it to the ground.
All right. That's good. We're going to move on, though. Thank you so much for calling.
Grasshopper, call for.
You're on the air. Who are you and what do you want to say?
Hi, John. Watching you guys for a while. That's all you do.
Oh, thank you.
One thing I'd like to throw out there is hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
We got you.
Hey, if the stuff goes through as it currently is, there's still the bad infringements on there because the paperwork trail where you can't do interstate travel without the government's permission for short barrel firearms.
Yes.
And how does that not run afoul amongst with everything else? The registry, it's got to go. Because can you imagine the people, if you can explain to them, which in the masses they're rockheads, we're sheep, but to try to wake them up, if they have to go to the government and get permission to, you want to use your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, your Twitter, X now. You want to use that on your phone? Oh, you're on a trip. You're going to Vegas. I'm sorry. You're leaving your home state. You need to get a permission slip from the government so you can use your social media, exercise your First Amendment activity, out of your home state.
Yep.
Yeah.
How does that apply? It don't.
Like an infringement is an infringement, and the NFA is definitely an infringement and needs to be removed.
I don't understand why, and I thought Matt LaRossiere had an interesting commentary yesterday when he said, "Oh, well, there's the gun rule." I'm like, "The gun rule? What's that?" He's like, "Yeah, all bets are off."
Yeah, when it comes to that. But thank you so much for calling in.
It's amazing. Yeah,
Thank you.
All of our rights outlined in the Bill of Rights. There's no qualifiers. There's none of that. But of course, when it has to do with firearms, all of a sudden, yes.
100%. 100%. It's they want to go back to intermediate scrutiny. We can't let them do that.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yep.
We cannot let them
There
do
needs
that.
to be Bruin police.
Yeah, a lot of judges are still applying intermediate scrutiny, even though they're not really supposed to apply intermediate scrutiny.
Can Trump create the Bruin task force that arrests politicians that screw with the Bruin decision?
I don't know, man. Give me 1 second here, and you're on the air, and you're off the air. Yeah, a lot of calls today. A lot of good calls. Yeah, they want us dependent on them and helpless. 100%.
Amen.
100%. Yeah, the courts have a phobia of firearms. They're hoplophobic.
Unknown caller.
For extension 0.
You're on the air. What's your name and what would you like to say?
Yeah, Mike from South Carolina.
South Carolina, I love South Carolina. What would you like to say?
So these sellout, GOP, like, just get things done. I don't understand if it was
right.
situation was reversed and the Democrats were all in power, they'd be passing everything they wanted. These
Amen.
GOP that
You're
are,
right.
they just need to be primaried.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I agree.
That's all I want to say.
All right, thank you for calling. Amazing.
And you know what?
They always, the Democrats seem to always have their stuff together, and the Republicans don't.
The Republicans always seem like they want to play nice and not piss off the other side.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy, right?
All right. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so
Thanks
much
for the call.
Grasshopper, call for.
You are on the air. What's your name and what would you like to say?
Yes. Good afternoon, John. So yeah, I just tuned into your channel, and I gotta say, the fight is not over yet. We got a call.
Amen.
To the house. I just called a few times and left messages to Speaker Mike Johnson, and basically told him, no, we do not want this watered down version of this $0 tax stamp. It's still an infringement, and if we have gotten this far, why stop? Why allow a unelected body of Senate parliamentarian, unelected body bureaucrats tell us, we the people, what we can and cannot have? No, they do not. Our senators, our representatives are the ones that have the power. They are basically there to just give opinions, and that's just what it should be taken as, opinions, not basically like that's the end, the be all and end all. So I suggest for everyone to grab their phones and start calling the House, the representative, but specifically Mike Johnson, because he was the one that basically held to the last minute in the House until we were able to get the full verbiage of the Hearing Protection Act and the Short Act, and then proceeded to send it forward to the Senate. So, this is our opportunity, basically, hold the line. But we need to put the pressure. Like I said, pressure makes diamonds. So if we just stand back, we have nothing to complain about ourselves. So I suggest for every listener in this channel, do just that. It's not going to take you more than 5 minutes of your time. And if you can't get a direct, they have the voicemail to leave a message and basically tell them we governors of America will not stand with this watered down version that the Senate folded, and to also ask him, since we're not able, I tried to get the number to call and leave a message for the vice president, but he can maybe, if you ask, to also ask him to get in touch with the vice president and see, if he can still come up and say, no, I'm not going to allow this. I'm going to override the parliamentary suggestion. Don't need to fire it. They don't want to fire it because they want to play nice. They don't want to send another person to the unemployment line. Fine. But at the very least, he has the power to say, no, thank you very much. And no, thanks. We're going to override you. And that's about it.
Yep. That's good. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You have a good day too. Bye. Yeah, we usually only get like one call. If that. So yep. So I'm trying to change it, but yeah, I think we're gonna get ready and wrap up here. I think we killed this topic as much as we could. But
I'm furious. I'm really furious. And
hold on for 1 second. I am gonna get you on air. Thank you for calling. What's your name and what would you like to say?
Anthony Smith, and sorry for repeating you guys. My phone kept disconnecting. With the Short Act and the suppressor, this might just be in my opinion. I kind of feel like I'm the only one that kind of sees this for what it is. Everyone on our side or the freedom loving side, I think, is a little punch drunk or love drunk when it comes to that. We're so happy to be getting those things that we're not paying attention to the bill that it's part of, having to do with
the bill sucks.
and the no. What was that?
The bill's terrible.
What Crump? Well, the bill's terrible, and it sounds like we weren't the biggest fans of the Patriot Act back then, and this is like the Patriot Act on steroids times 100. So that's just my 2 cents, and I don't know if everyone should be quite so happy. And it makes me question at what point that they don't care that we own those weapons. There's a reason that they're not going to care, because when it comes to Palantir and drones, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So that's just my 2 cents. Love you both. Thank you for what you do. Crump, Rich, you guys have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you so much. And no one called you old. I'm going to take one more call.
Grasshopper, call for.
Last call of the day. What's your name and what would you like to say?
Yeah, my name's Eric. I'm from Ohio, and I just wanted to say that, it took me like 3.5 minutes to call Speaker of the House and just leave a message. And more people just take a little bit of time. Who knows if they're going to, see it, but the more pressure we put on, I think the better. And just to, I guess, reiterate, the whole short barrel rifle thing was only carved out in the first place because they were initially going to ban pistols in the NFA, and they wrote that down as a workaround. So the absurdity of that, I really think needs to be on full blast to a lot of people.
Yeah,
but that's it. Thanks for your time.
I call it one more. This is it.
Grasshopper.
Thank you for calling. You are actually the last caller of the day.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Clarence, and I'm from Texas.
God bless Texas.
Yeah, I do too. The issue I have, over 20 years ago, I had a domestic issue and got a Class A misdemeanor on that. And apparently, I can't get my rights to keep my bear arms back. And I just don't think that's right. I don't have the money to fight this in court, but that right to keep and bear arms means a whole lot to me.
Amen.
I believe in our Constitution.
Yeah, Crump actually changed my mind on this. And if you're safe enough to be out in general population with us folk, you should have every right that we do. And I think it's both.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What gets me is I'm disabled. I don't walk much. I stay in the house most of the time. In the wheelchair, like right now, I'm in bed, and everything that's going on right now. And I got some idiot kicks down my door. These illegals kick down my door. I have no way to defend myself.
Well,
and,
black powder weapons are not firearms.
That's true.
Right. The way it was put to me, if I get caught with a firearm, I'm going to go to the penitentiary.
Yep.
And of course, I don't want to go there.
Right. Well, like I said, black powder firearms or black powder, I mean, I don't even know what they're called because firearm is something legally different, but black powder is not a firearm.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of
Okay.
here. Thank you for calling so much. We are going to wrap up the show now.
All righty. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye now.
Bye. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great day. Remember, the fight is not over. Keep on fighting.
Unknown caller.
Bye-bye.